There he is.
Hello, Colin.
Colin.
Would you like a glass of water, Colin?
Yeah, that'd be great. No, thank you. Just the whistle. That's lovely. Thank you. Thank you.
Right, so I'm a bit honoured today, Colin, because I've interviewed you lots of times, but
Yes.
quite often we sat with other people.
Yes.
So I have to share the questions out.
Right.
But I've got you on your own today.
You have?
Which is
Yeah.
brilliant. And I did say earlier that I always ask you one question, I never get bored of hearing you answer it. And I'm going to start with it. Colin, you were directed by Alfred Hitchcock.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Well, actually, there's not a great deal to tell you about Alfred Hitchcock. We were shooting this movie called Frenzy at Shepperton Studios, and yeah, I'm just playing a very small part in this film. And I didn't have a great deal to do with him. He spoke to me a couple of times, but most of the time he spoke me through the first assistant director. But yeah, a very strange sort of man, but in some ways quite likeable as well. If you get what I'm trying to say there. But yeah, interesting man, and obviously very famous. But when I worked with him for his films, so yeah, that was it. Interesting, I would say.
Yeah, but well, what a story. But then he got many claims to fame, Colin. Was that in the 70s, Frenzy? Was that early 70s?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
So, prior to that, though, your acting career goes back a very long way, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
How old were you when you started?
I was 11 years old when I started. I went to drama school at the age of 11, and yes, that's when my career started.
And one of your, you had a very legendary stage role, didn't you? Quite early on in your career, I believe.
Oh no, I'm not going to bring that up.
I'm sorry, I have to. I think people need to know these things.
It's very strange. I mean, I'm sure there are people here this evening, today, who might remember Edie Blyton's Noddy and Toilet. And if you do, in the 60s, early 60s, there was she wrote a stage play called Noddy and Toilet for the stage. And I was lucky enough, or unlucky enough, to man the part of Noddy. So I was Noddy in the West End of London every Christmas for about 3 years, for about 3 weeks of the Christmas period.
But in London at Christmas as well, so
yes.
All the lights are on, all the excitement.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
Yeah.
What a great story. Now, obviously we're going to chat about Doctor Who momentarily, but I just again want to go back because the first time I ever read about you, the first time I met you, one of the most exciting things for me was the amount of comedy legends you've worked with. I mentioned Frankie Howard earlier, didn't I? So you worked with Frankie Howard.
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of different stories about Frankie Howard. He's either the loveliest man to work with or the most annoying man to work with, and his stories are theirs.
It was a heck of a long time ago, so I've just had memories of giving him a lift from rehearsals to the BBC Television Centre at some point. But yeah, it was lovely. It was nice to work with. It was one episode of his series that he was doing, and I got on very well with him. Just a lovely man. Yeah, absolutely.
And there was other comedians, wasn't there? Did you work with Benny Hill?
Yeah, I did Benny's show as well. And once again, we were together for about a week and a half. I was doing one episode of the Benny Hill show. Yes, as I said, I was a young man. I was only a sort of a beginner virgin coming into the business. But once again, I found him rather nice. Maybe just because I was a boy, he treated me quite well. But he was lovely, and I thoroughly enjoyed working with him.
This must have been really amazing exposure for you as an actor as well. With there being less TV channels back then, people might not know that.
Yeah.
Growing up, many of us had 1, 2, 3, 4 channels, and that was it really. Now there's loads. It's very competitive now, but it must have been great. To showcase yourself on these things.
Oh yeah, I mean, and I virtually grew up at the BBC Television Centre in Wood Lane. I spent my youth there, and I worked right the way through to the present day, working at the TV Centre, which unfortunately is no longer there, which is a great shame.
Did you ever get starstruck meeting these people?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think maybe I must have been. I was lucky enough to work with Peter Sellers doing a movie, a Bolton Brothers comedy called Heavens Above, with Peter Sellers, Irene Handel, Eric Sykes. I mean, just the cream of British television and comedy in that days. Slightly in awe of Peter Sellers, he had a lovely sports car, a Ferrari, which I coveted, which I thought was absolutely splendid. But then people like Eric Sykes, whom I became great friends with and worked with Eric. I did Eric Sykes' show with Eric and Hattie. And yeah, and the very lovely Irene Handel. I'm not sure whether many people who remember Irene Handel, but she was an absolutely lovely, lovely lady and a brilliant actress.
Interesting enough, it's Irene Handel was in Metro Mickey in the 80s,
Well,
and it's the anniversary of that show, the first episode today. I spotted that this morning. A strange little aside there.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to segue to Doctor Who a little, because one of the other things that you hear a lot about TV productions these days is the lack of rehearsal time.
Yeah.
So rehearsals were a big thing, weren't they? So I suppose with comedy, a lot of that was about the comedy timing and getting this.
Yeah, that's very much so. Yeah.
But I believe with Doctor Who that when you were rehearsing a Doctor Who story, you almost became like a little ensemble cast, and obviously good connections were made. So what was the process of? Tell us the process of getting the Doctor Who job for your first story, the Colin Baker one. How does it happen?
What, how I came to be cast?
Yeah, how does it work? For those of us that don't know about telly.
That was the day when, the days that the directors of the show were actually able to cast themselves. Now, of course, we have casting directors all over the place. And Graham Harper, I'm sure that Doctor Who fans will know who Graham Harper is, one of the best well-known Doctor Who directors. Graham and I were at drama school at the same time, the Athalia Ponty State School, which at that time was in Soho, in just off Piccadilly in London. Graham was in fact a very good child actor. I mean, he did an awful lot of work as an actor. But he decided that his fortune lay behind the camera, where I continued to try and make mine in front of the camera. So anyway, it was Graham. I saw Graham in the television centre one day. I was up there doing something else. And I said, "Oh, Graham, what are you doing? Are you working?" He said, "Oh, yes, I'm directing Doctor Who." Oh, I said, "That's brilliant. Anything in it for me?" He looked at me and said, "No." So, fair enough. Anyway, Graham then called me and said, "Look," he said, "I want you to come in and read for this part in Doctor Who, in a thing called The Revelation of the Daleks." He said, "I want you to play a mutant that comes out of a slimy pond." I said, "I'll do it." Anyway, eventually he came back and said, "Look, no, we've had a chat with everyone and John Nathan Turner, and we decided that we would like you to play this character called Lilt, who's a double act with another character called Tarkus, played by Trevor Cooper." And so that's how that started. But he said, "I want you to audition for this part." He said, "I cannot just give it to you. So you need to come along." And so I went along and read for the part with Jonathan Mason Turner and the rest of the other people in the room. And I got it, which was rather nice. And that was it.
You had Alexi Sale in that episode.
Yeah, we did that, yeah.
To me, that particular Dalek story almost seems like watching a play. It's got Shakespearean undertones and Greek tragedy undertones almost. The characters are very larger than life, aren't they?
Yeah, and it was a particularly dark episode as well. It was quite, for the days, it was quite vicious. I mean, I was trying to feed this guy beer, whiskey, to get him drunk, and I was assaulting him and hitting him. And that was, I don't think they allow us to do it these days, but yeah, very dark episode.
It was basically a funeral planet, wasn't it? Necros. It was a funeral planet, and it was a great place to go and be. But people were being frozen in perpetual stasis, weren't they?
Yeah.
But Davros was stealing the corpses to make them into Daleks, wasn't he?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cheeky scum. So that was Colin Baker as
Yeah.
Doctor,
Yeah.
1980s.
Yeah.
Let's not beat around the bush. You were with the Daleks as well. I mean, that's
The Daleks,
if you're going to do a
yeah.
Doctor Who episode,
I know.
you want the Daleks,
yeah.
don't you?
The work with the most, the Doctor's enemies, iconic enemies, which are the Daleks and of course the Cybermen.
Were the Daleks easy to work with? Were they good co-stars?
Well, they were. Yeah, I've seen. It was quite strange when you first see it, like in the rehearsal rooms at television centre, and they're just half a Dalek with a bloke sitting in it. Which is just, it's great fun to do.
So I know now on the modern series, the Daleks' voices are done live in studio. So were the effects there present at the time, or was it just?
Yeah, they were. The effects obviously weren't as good as they were as they are today. It still took a long time to shoot. Thing anyway, it wasn't just a very quick one. It was a lot of work went into with the blowing up of the Daleks and the various things that went on in that episode. So it took a while to shoot. We nearly ran over time, but we managed to persuade the people to let us carry on shooting.
So I mentioned that obviously back in the day there was time for rehearsals, and I asked you about the effects there on Colin Baker's era Doctor Who, but you're one of it's a bit of a growing list, but it's still quite a small list of people who then managed to get a part in the revived series.
Yeah, but it used to be. I used to be amongst a very few people that have been in the classic and the new, but it's now getting more than that. There are quite a few more actors that have been in both series, some 3 times now, so I'm being overtaken.
So you came back, and this time you weren't with the Daleks. This time you got to be with the relaunch of the Cybermen.
Yeah, that was great. That was great fun to do. I mean, I remember we were on location on Swansea Dock, filming the sequence with these people, hurling them into a lorry and taking them away to be turned into Cybermen. I came out my little trailer at one particular point. I was called to do a scene, and there were 2 of them standing outside the door of the trailer, and they really looked intimidating. I just looked up at them like that. They were brilliant. They really looked good. Yeah.
So in the beginning of that story, you were sort of a bit of a hard-man henchman, weren't you?
Yes,
a gangster.
Yeah. I was the right-hand man of Lumic, played by the very lovely and very late Roger Lloyd Pack. I was Lumic's right-hand man, but then towards the end I saw the error of my ways and I tried to get rid of him. But I got it.
You had to pick it.
Yeah.
So what were the most noticeable differences between the old Who and new Who on set?
Well, I always get asked that, and I always give the same answer. The word I'm looking for now is rehearsal. When you turn up, when I started doing the first day's rehearsal of Revelation of the Daleks and Colin Baker, we all met on a Monday morning where we sat down at a table and we read through the scripts, and a rough timing was taken of the running of the show, and then we started blocking the moves, and then after about Wednesday you should be off the book, and you should now know exactly what you're going to say. And then you continue rehearsing until the Friday when the technical team would come in, and we would see the lighting boys and the camera technicians and the special effects technicians come and see a run through, and we'd all turn up at the studio the following day and shoot.
I'm led to believe that there's still very tightly managed budgets. There's no room for error, is there really, on these things?
I wasn't actually aware of budgets. You're not. I mean, that's totally another department. I'm just in my department, which is which is acting my character. So I don't know much about that, to be quite honest with you. I know the newer ones certainly have a lot more money thrown at them. The effects are just spectacular now.
do like one of my favourite moments in that story is I think you're being particularly evil in this bit. I don't know if you're killing somebody or torturing someone, but you put a song on, don't you? Is it Lion Sleeps Tonight?
The Lion Sleeps Tonight, I know, and I keep some people, quite a few fans send me a copy of it. I think I've got about 4 or 5 copies somewhere. But yeah, The Lion Sleeps Tonight. I did just a bit of a movement, a dance, if you could call it a dance.
So you've told us a little bit about some of the things you've done. You've got a autobiography, haven't you? So
Yes.
what kind of stories do you tell in that? Is there any that stand out as, you know?
Yeah, we have lots of nice stories in there, and lots of nice people I've worked with. I had the privilege of working with, I've mentioned this chap's name many times to younger people. They have no idea who I'm talking about. But I'd spent 3.5 months up a mountain in Austria with David Niven, shooting a picture. And he was literally, I can guarantee and tell you all honestly, he was one of the nicest people you would ever want to work with.
I think one of the things that really comes across from you, Colin, is how much respect you've got for people in your profession, but just how much love you've got for all these people. You seem to have had a lovely time and lovely experiences.
It's been amazing. I've celebrated this year 70 years in show business. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you, thank you. 70 years in show business. And it's amazing. I've done something that I wanted to do. There's not many people say, I want to go to work. I'm so looking forward to going to work. But I've had an absolute ball, and I still feel amazed that people want to pay me to do what I thoroughly enjoy doing. Although it's getting quiet now, I don't do as much as I used to. I'm getting on now, and so I don't work as much as I do now. Sometimes I do voiceover work and things like that, and I do the odd thing, but I don't work as much as I used to.
Well, I'm really pleased that you come and see us so often at our events, Colin. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
It's an absolute pleasure, and the only thing is that I would like to say before I leave is I need to thank all you people, all you Doctor Who fans, because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here. So thank you.
You've got copies of your book.
Yes, some copies of the book if anybody wants it. Yeah,
Be able to sign those as
happily
well.
sign to them, yes.
Colin will be happy to chat to you and answer questions, and he's got some photos you can see over there as well. So, yeah, spare a bit of time to go and see Colin, because he's very nice to talk to. And yeah, thank you very much.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure.
Colin Spaull.
Thank you. Thank you.